Good morning, everyone. As you start coming on in, welcome wherever you're watching us today. Welcome to Sick of This Shit Publications. I'm Nick Paro, not your dad, joined by Dean Blundell, the Silver Fox, for a discussion on intelligent masculinity today. I've got a bingo card in the background for myself for questions I want to ask. I've got some fun things to talk about today. Everybody knows Dean, but Dean, please introduce yourself to the audience this morning. Let everyone know who you are, what you're about, and I'm excited to get into this discussion with you today.
Oh my gosh, dude, it's such a pleasure to be with you, Nick. You're one of the good guys here. And everybody who knows Nick Paro knows that about you. So it's a real pleasure to be on. You tackle a bunch of different stuff. Love your stuff with Winterman, too. That gets offside real quick. But what I do love is how you are challenging America's men, and specifically about what it means to be a real man. So the fact that I'm here is great. I'm just super grateful to get a chance to sit and shoot the shit with you and talk about that. We have a deficit when it comes to what people think a real man is, and what masculinity is, and how to use intelligence. So happy to be here. My name is Dean Blundell. I'm from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Work with the Save America movement. Also do my own thing over at deanblundell.substack.com. Did radio for a really long time, a morning show in Toronto for like 15 years. No one listens to the radio anymore, so I don't do that. And now I'm here. I'm here with you. And I love democracy. I love dogs. I love my kids. They're all adult sons. And raised my children as best I could to be intelligent, masculine, giving, empathetic, courageous young men. So I'm ready to get into it, my man.
I love it. Thanks, Dean, for being here. Thanks for that introduction. And I'm putting up a QR code. One that Dean might find really interesting is our shop has an emotional support Canadian line going on. We've got our Cobra Chicken division, which is our
Canada Goose.
Canadian geese. The geese are the Cobra chickens. We also have our emotional support Canadian. So if you want a Cobra chicken or a moose, we got it. We also have a baby onesie for the emotional, for our Cobra chicken in training. So if anyone is interested in becoming an emotional Canadian for us, we've got up over Dean's head real quick is the emotional support Canadian line at the Sick of This shop. Go support the Cobra Chicken division. We've got mugs, we've got shirts, we've got onesies. Be an emotional support Canadian. Get your mug, get your water bottle. And as we like to say here, just suck less.
Suck less. So just simple, isn't it?
Less with Sick of This Shit Publications. All right, Dean, I'm excited to get into this. I've got some good questions that I may get into for our normal question set. If not, I'll have you back for another one, because this is all about masculinity and what it means to be part of the intelligent humaning and better humaning process. And I got some questions for you, Dean. I know there's been some stuff going on. I'd like to talk about things in what's been going on in the world before we get into anything. And I saw an episode with you this weekend for the Save America movement. And I wanted to ask about it because it's a word choice. You were talking about a word choice in this episode that I really shy away from the usage of, mostly because it's derogatory towards women. And you know me, I talk a lot about men from the male anatomy perspective. And I wanted to talk to you
someone's a dick.
Yeah, someone's a dick. They're a testicle. They look like a taint. They're just a piece of asshole.
Body part.
They're the body part disgusting that isn't derogatory or aimed at women in our society or female presenting. And I know you had a really strong episode on the Save America movement. You brought on some two incredible ladies who do some very fantastic work and are really hard hitting. But I wanted to talk about the use of the word, and it's probably one of the few times I'll say it in this context, is the use of the word pussy to degrade other men and degrade men, and what we can do to change and challenge our language around that, to not reclaim that word in any way, but to switch it. And I wanted to get your thoughts on that and the usage of that and what it could mean to the women and female presenting people in our audience if they see men not doing that. and what
Yeah.
it means on a masculine side. So wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah, it's a tough one. You're talking about the interview that we did with Jennifer Welsh and
Yeah,
Angie Pump Sullivan from the I've Had It podcast. Just two barn burners, like trailblazing,
incredible
very
women.
bright, intelligent, smart women who stand up for the trans community, stand up for the LGBTQ community, stand up for women, women's rights. And it was funny because that one word, the P word, is and there's there's context, philosophical context outside this will I get to a real lightning rod for some reason, and it depends on who you are and what you think. It depends on the choices you make, because I believe taking offense is a choice. Is that that one word, it out of nowhere, on Substack, obviously because of what I do, gets me into a lot of hot water. And Steve and I had a conversation with Angie and Jennifer, and we're like, and Steve's like adamant that we need to like reclaim the word. And I'm 53, Steve's 53. I think Angie and Pumps are in and around our age, maybe a little bit younger. And they were like in violent agreement with Steve. Right. That we need to get this word and hang it on as many people as possible. We didn't get into the semantics or the philosophy behind why they felt that way. It was just a really funny riff on the word. And, again, I go back to my age, which is no excuse because I've taken lots of different words out of my lexicon. There was a long time there when I was on the radio and I could say that something was gay in reference to it being bad. That is out of my lexicon because I truly do understand the hurt and the pain that causes people when you refer to something about who they innately are as a human being as a pejorative, as something negative. So that's gone. The R word, absolutely disgusting, but my God, we grew up using it all the time, like all of us did. And that's out of my repertoire because a couple of different reasons. One is, read a great piece in Rolling Stone years ago where David Letterman's like, I just don't think we should be referring to people in the pejorative with those words because their life's pretty hard. You don't want to throw another log in their journey. And it made all the sense in the world to me just from that one piece. And we progress and we get older and we get better as we go. And, we try to take different words out of our lexicon. And I'm not that guy that stands there and goes, I'm allowed to use this word. I'm the guy that wants to have this conversation with people, where, because to me, that's intelligence. That's not me saying I have ownership over the word pussy, or I'm allowed to say the F word or the R word because it's just my prerogative. Real men and real people will have those conversations, but they'll have those conversations like the one that we're having, based on your value system and your virtue set, right? Like, what is it that's important to you? What isn't important to you? Now, listen, when people use those words around me, I'm not the guy that stands up and goes, whoa, right? I'm not. I'm just not, because words are words, depending on how they're used and where they're used and who they're used against. You might get a reaction out of me, but I'm a big fan of people being allowed to voice their opinion about why they should use that word. And I'm also a huge fan of people not transferring their value system or what they think is right that should not or should come out of my mouth. And it was interesting because it came to a head today with this conversation about Gaza. Zev and I had our 5-stack yesterday. We do it every day at 3:00. Would encourage everybody to join us. We cover the 5 biggest stories of the day, all major breaking news stories. And we were talking about Netanyahu and whether his war crimes are genocide. And I just simply said, hey, listen, I don't know that that's necessarily genocide. They're absolutely war crimes. And the dude is a war criminal, needs to be arrested and sent to the Hague like today. But I'm not the guy that arbitrates what genocide is. And again, I got 3 or 4, messages in my replies. I get a lot of replies. And so I got 3 or 4 messages in my replies that caught my attention today. And I wasn't sure what they were upset about. But they were upset that I wouldn't use the G word to describe that. And I'm like, well, tell me why. Does it rise to that occasion? And I like to dig into those subjects so that I am as close to being accurate as possible. Because part of this conversation, when we get back to the P word, is, okay, you don't like it, no problem. I will not use that word against you. I will not use that word to you. And when I use that word, if I do use the word, or as Jennifer Welch is using that word, we're using the word the same way we would call someone a dick, right? These are just body parts from nether regions. And so that's kind of how I look at it. But obviously, transference is what it is, and you make sure you transfer your value system in rooms where that thing is not going to go over well, right? So it's kind of a la carte, and that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, and I want to bring this from the male perspective, because this isn't about policing words. This is about challenging ourselves to think of why we might not want to use the words, but also I'm not going to tell women to not use female anatomy to degrade women or men. But I am going to talk with men about it, because it's not our body part to degrade with. And I've said before, and everybody knows this when I say it, and Dean, you'll probably get a laugh out of this too, and I think you've heard me say it anyways, is a pussy can take a pounding, a penis can't. Testicles can't.
But hold it. Let me back you up.
Which makes it stronger. A pussy can take a pounding.
I got a lot of respect for that.
You kick or touch them once, and man, you're fucking down.
Yeah.
You're weak as shit. Which to me implies that a pussy's strong.
Oh, dude, women are so much better than us in every way.
And a penis, God, that shit's weak. You fucking touch that shit, and we're down
for hours.
So to me, it's almost like we're not even comparing the same type of thing, because one is weak as shit and the other's not. And so I wanted to get your opinion. For me, that's my side. That's why I'm challenged. Why I want to bring this conversation, and I love that we can have this. And others in the chat too. Please voice your opinions too. I love hearing them and the feedback from this. And we will get to the Gaza side. We will get to what's going on in Israel, because that's super important to me as a culturally Jewish person. It's really important for me to be able to differentiate with what's going on there and the severity of it. And so we will get there, folks. Don't worry. We will get there. We'll get back there. But I want to get Dean's opinion on the use of the P word and how we can transition ourselves or challenge ourselves in situations to know should we use that word? Is it appropriate for us? And so, Dean,
let me just back that truck up just for a second. Because I understand what you're saying, and it's a valid point. And if that word offends people, you should be mindful of it, specifically where you use it, if you use it. My understanding, and this is the truth of that word, it came from the kitten, pussycat, like meek, weak, and I'm not a cat guy. So that was my understanding of it growing up as a kid, right? It was only later in life that I learned, meaning like 11, 12 years old, where you're like, oh, I had no idea that's what you called that too. I had no, literally. And so for a large segment of society, and what are you, in your late 30s?
Mid-30s, yeah.
Your mid-30s. You don't come from that space, right? You don't come from that era. And you don't have to use that as an excuse to be allowed to be an asshole. That's not what I'm saying at all. But there are different iterations and definitions that we use. Now, am I entitled to use that word? I'm entitled to every consequence that comes from everything that comes out of my mouth, right? I'm entitled to, and this is why I don't believe there's anything like free speech. I don't think it exists. Is because there's a consequence for everything you say and you do. And if that word prohibits me from being more successful because it's offending people, if that word or word that I use or choose to use it prevents me from being better at this, communicating with more people, that's just a smart decision to make. That's the intelligent masculinity. You can call it masculinity or not. I'm a journalist. I'm an entertainer. I'm a podcaster. I'm someone that makes his living by connecting with people in a really unique space that not many people get a chance to do. And so I've got that on my mind. At the same time, I've got, the ethical aspects of that on my mind. But I'm also from a different era when that meant something completely different to me than the way that it has been used and how people are using it today. So, I mean, there's a lot that goes into the conversation specifically with the P word. I'm glad we started there, though.
Yeah, thanks for having this with me. And everyone, I see all your comments in the chat, and there was one comment that I do want to just call out real quick on the side is,
it's my dad again.
We will not be less vulgar. Vulgarity is okay. because the concept of curse words is a Christian fallacy, restricting the use of words that they saw as offensive, but aren't, in my opinion.
So
And
let me ask you a question.
I won't stop being vulgar
Yeah.
because it's important that we choose our words. And I use my words carefully when I'm vulgar, especially especially when I start saying fuck, because it's the most versatile word in the English language. And if you don't believe me,
too.
you can make a sentence out of the word fuck and have no other words in it. The only other versatile word like that is buffalo, which has 7 definitions. And if you say buffalo 7 times in a row, you make a complete sentence. But I digress.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that about buffalo.
Oh, yeah, there's 7 definitions to buffalo, so you can make a complete sentence with just the word buffalo.
Well, listen, and I'll tell you, you and I diverge when it comes to some of the vulgarity stuff. Like, you know, there are lots of times where I will hear or see things, and they're hard on my ears, right? Like there are certain words in the flow of conversation that just don't need to be there, and it prevents your accessibility to other people to be able to reach them who are turned off by vulgarity. But I'm with you. Like I think that there's no better word than fuck. I think that that we should be allowed to use all kinds of language in the parlance of our time. That's real, right? And that's kind of the benefit of why this is such a successful space and why everybody's turning off mainstream media, is that that's completely unnatural to not expect someone who's reading a story about Donald Trump having 1,000 people out to his hillbilly birthday party last night going, this is a fucking disaster. Like, that's what I want to watch. I want to watch people talk about it like that. But to your point, like, I mean, I've had you on our show a couple of times. You and I have done this a couple of times. And there have been some things that you've said in anger, in righteous anger, that I've been like, I don't even think I go that far. But I absolutely embraced your ability to speak your mind. And that's where we get into trouble with language, Nick. We get into trouble, I think, with language. We react out of anger, we react out of emotion, and this is a really difficult thing for me to keep in check here as a journalist or a podcaster, or whatever you want to call me, muckraker, is that I intensely feel what is going on in the United States of America. You know, the majority of my time is spent defending democracy. 100,000 people that follow me here, 80% in the United States that call me their emotional support Canadian, or the fact that, you know, I can get some information through the Underground Railroad of the internet to people where they're informed. That's really, really, really important to me. What I find is that when I am emotional about it, if I'm doing a show, if I'm really angry, if I'm really sad, if I'm really triggered, and I've allowed the ecosystem that I work in to trigger me emotionally, I'm really ineffective, because I start using language that I probably shouldn't. I start getting angry and want to run into the streets and scream. Like, that's the you know, we talk about intelligent masculinity and what that is. That is such a difficult lesson for so many people in this space to learn, and to learn in your life. You will never make a great decision when you're angry. You will never make a great decision when you allow that anger to dictate your response, specifically in this space where nuance can get you absolutely murdered reputationally if you don't engage in that. You know, if you don't have the ability to nuance a conversation, intellectually voice your opinion in a way that is doesn't turn people off, because people have had enough of that, right? We get this all the time. I watched Trump rage scream last night at his birthday party thing, this failed concert, and I'm watching. I'm like, people are so sick of this shit. You know, I watched Sean Duffy call everybody who wasn't there a libtard. Like, and Sean Duffy's got a daughter who's got Down syndrome. You know, these are people that are completely unhinged. You know, and to show the opposite of that kind of shows leadership in this space, specifically thought leadership in this space. So that's kind of the way I look at it.
I think that's great. And I think that's also a really good transition to get into the discussion around Gaza
Mm,
and what Netanyahu and the Israeli government are committing in Gaza. And this is where nuance is really, really important,
mm,
because this is also where we have to have nuance on the discussion of what it means to be Jewish compared to Zionist, and how do we transgress all of the anti-Semitism that is going on right now? Because the Palestinians are Semitic people too, and if you hate the Palestinians, you're an anti-Semite, in my opinion. If you're willing to call out the Palestinians in a way that is super derogatory, you're also an anti-Semite, in my opinion, because they're Semitic people. And so I
mm.
want to get into the discussion, and that's not the heart of this discussion, not that part. I wanted to get into the discussion, maybe a little bit about the nuance with you around the word choices for genocide. I
Mm,
have a friend, with Lawrence Winterman. He came on last night and he did a really powerful live, and he wrote a really powerful article around Zionism and the differentiations of Zionism versus what it means for a lot of us to just be Jewish.
mhm,
And he has labeled it up to a Holocaust, or could be on the level of a Holocaust
mm,
in Gaza, because it's concentrating people into areas, purposely firebombing them, lighting them on fire, and letting them die in concentrated areas, which under the international law meets the definition of a Holocaust.
mm,
And I think, in my opinion, it is a genocide,
mhm,
because it's a purposeful act to wipe the Palestinians off the map in
mhm.
every way, shape, or form, cleanse them ethnically, because the Israeli government wants an ethno state, a Jewish only ethno state. And the only way you can get there is through a genocide. And
Mm.
so I wanted your thoughts on that, and what
Yeah.
your thoughts are around why you were hesitant to say, or maybe, I don't know if hesitant's the right word, but why
Mm.
you chose not to use the word genocide when discussing what's going on. I know you were talking about it in the terms of war crimes,
Yes.
but to me, I don't think that's enough. And
Uh-huh.
I gave you my rationale
Yeah,
onto
yeah.
why I think that. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, because
Well,
like we said, this having a conversation about these things is where we can find common ground and the ability to work with each other, to grow, to
mhm.
learn, to expose ourselves to different opinions. So, Dean, I'd love your thoughts on this.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I love these conversations. It's interesting because I can't, you know, genocide or war crimes. Can you commit war crimes which lead to genocide, or war crimes part of genocide? Is genocide consisting of war crimes? I mean, there are definitely different ways to be able to, sort of justify, label, or understand what Israel has been doing to people in Palestine and to other people and cultures in the region, right? Like, I get it. Now, let me just lay the tracks. Israel deserves the right to defend themselves and self determination. Every country does, every sovereign country does. And we're going to remove, as hard as it is, even though it's all predicated on Abrahamic warring that has lasted thousands of years, we're going to remove religion from this and just deal with, is this genocide or is it not? I don't know. What I can tell you is that if Benjamin Netanyahu came to Canada today, he'd get arrested for war criming. Mark
Mhm.
Carney has said it dozens of times. Yeah, if he sets foot in Canada, war crime. So now Canada's anti-Semitic, according to Benjamin Netanyahu. And as a Canadian, that obviously raises my ire. But again, not making an emotional decision, trying to understand really what's
Yeah.
going on here. Is he committing genocide or is he committing war crimes? I will leave that up to the Hague and other courts and people that are better qualified to be able to understand that. I will leave that interpretation up to people like you that have skin in the game, that are from that area, that define it a certain way because you have the ability to do that. And I think Lawrence Winterman, and I watched a little bit of his clip last night, it was very powerful. Um, Such a nice man, my God,
Oh my
and
God,
and
Lawrence
and
is one of the
bright.
best.
Yeah, I've never heard anything bad about that man. He's just a cherub of knowledge and happiness and joy. But he means it when he says that he thinks this is a Holocaust. That's his interpretation. He's absolutely entitled to that. And he justified that through parts of that speech where I'm like, okay, I get it. I get that take. I understand that genocide take. My opinion in what Lawrence says and what you say is not going to be affect the way I look at it because I'm not willing to make a statement. It's kind of like, like God, right? Like I have to, and I have to stop people when we have a conversation because they're like, you're an atheist. I'm like, no, I'm agnostic. They're like, that means you're an atheist. I'm like, no, it doesn't. What it means is that I don't know. It means that I don't know if there is a God or isn't a God. If there is, great. It'd be great to meet the dude or the woman or whatever it is, the supreme being. I have no idea, but I'm not egotistical enough and I'm not enough of an asshole to tell everybody that there isn't a God and that you're stupid for believing that it is. And I'm never going to talk to you again because you believe in a sky daddy. It's the same kind of portion of that conversation when it comes to genocide or war crimes. Hey, I don't know. I don't know. And I'm also not enough of an asshole to run, whatever narrative I want to build from war crimes or genocide through people's brains so that I can convince them that I'm right and they're wrong. I don't know. I am not I'm not George Clooney's wife. I'm not an international lawyer. I don't know. But what I know is Benjamin Netanyahu is human fucking garbage. What I know is Ben Gvir is an absolute fucking genocidal maniac who's calling for genocide. What I know is Smotrich is an asshole and another extremist. What I know is Benjamin Netanyahu and all three of those guys and the 20 to 16 to 20% that are propping up these extremists, these fascists that are giving back any goodwill for the Israeli state, destroying Israel's reputation on the world stage, really taking every Jewish person around the world hostage with hatred. What I know is that Benjamin Netanyahu is to Israel what Donald Trump is to the United States. That's where I live in this conversation.
I think that's great. I love the nuance that you have on your idea of this and the ability to listen and hear. And just like I'm not trying to force you to change your language on it, I think words mean things, and they're really powerful when we use the right ones in the right context. And yeah, this whole conversation is about intelligent masculinity. It's better humaning. It's how do we navigate tough conversations? How do we discuss things without debate? How do we not turn this into a competition or an argument? How do we turn this into a place where we can learn and grow, where we as men in a lot of ways can just suck less? Because that's what a lot of people have been asking. But we have to have this nuance so that we can understand the differences, so that we can see where we are and what we're doing. And I think I came into this conversation really excited to have this discussion with Dean about this, because we don't always agree on everything. We're similar in a lot of ways for many of our discussions. We have a lot that we agree on. I am an agnostic too. My rationale is very similar to Dean's, but mine isn't I don't know, it's I don't care. I don't care if there's a God or not, because I'm going to act the way I am on this earth no matter what. I'm going to be who I am because it's morally and ethically right to do these things.
Yeah.
And I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit what you think. If you don't think there's a God, great. If you do think there's a God, great. Just don't fucking press it on me. Don't force me to believe it too. Don't force the rest of us to believe it. And I think that's where this conversation is really nice, because I don't want to force Dean to believe what I believe in.
The good news there, Nick, is that you'll never force me to believe anything.
That's good. That's good.
I am unmovable. I'm unmovable unless that data is proper. Listen, one of the great quotes of all time. And I take quotes with me. The older you get, the more bumper stickers and quotes. You're like, oh my God, that's not even cliche. That's right. Life is a cliche. One of the great quotes is from Marcus Aurelius out of the Meditations. And I love Stoicism. I practice it poorly, but I do my best to understand what my virtues and values are and live by those and allow other people to do their things. But one of the things he said, Marcus Aurelius, and a couple quotes that I'll give you. One is, if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong, because there's nothing I want more than to be right. right? Like I live, I breathe that in my DNA. Oh, I'm wrong. Tell me what it is. Help me understand it, right? And everything that, and it doesn't mean I'm wishy washy, because I also live by four very simple, Stoic virtues, right? Courage, wisdom, temperance, and justice. Those are really important things to me. And the other quote that I'll give you that allows me to filter all of those things through those values and those virtues are: the only fruit in this life is to be of good character and acts for the greater good. So, does that circumcise me in the content that I'm doing because I've got this, thing inside me that says you need to use the P word to refer to that person, or, you need to be aggressive or angry or talk about these things? There is righteous anger. There is righteous anger that you can, but again, I go back to the idea that, everything that I do. And we need to, I wish more of us studied philosophy, specific Stoic philosophy and cognitive behavioral therapy. Everything you do is about your own happiness, right? It's about learning how to overcome struggles. It's about responding well in that response gap, and how you learn. But everything I do in life is so that I can be better all the time. I want to be better at this job all the time. I want to be more accessible all the time. I want to be more entertaining all the time. I want to be more intelligent. I want to be more empathetic. I want the values, courage, wisdom, temperance, and justice to live and breathe through my content. And so if you're doing that with this repugnant attitude that you know more than everybody else, you lost me already. And I'm as my dad would say, Dean, you're the fart of a different odor. And I'm like, that's just how I am. I love people. I want to learn from people. I surround myself with people who are so much smarter and better than me. It's it's my life hack, and I learn from them. And they will say the same thing. We share the same values. We learn from each other. But that's what's missing, and you've touched on it a little bit, is that we have this bludgeoning attitude to people that think they're smart. Dunning-Kruger, call it what it is. I read a lot, probably too much. And that's the key for me, is understanding, because not all leaders read, but all readers do lead at some point in time. We have to take that leadership mentality and becoming a better person through all these aspects of our lives. And it starts with our language. It starts with how we present ourselves. But we're supposed to be doing that for us, not living in a world of fear where we can't talk, can't have a conversation. And that's literally what Donald Trump, what Russia, what MAGA, what social media has done. I put out a tweet the other day about how much I love our Canadian national anthem. The cavalcade of people calling me a cuck, the F word, an R word, a stupid Canadian. And all I said was, man, I love this country. I love my anthem. I get emotional now when I hear it. Because Canada played World Cup, Switzerland lost yesterday 2-1.
I was disappointed to see them lose, but they've been doing really well. I've been proud of the Canadian team.
I appreciate it, buddy. We need all the proxies we can get.
That 6-0 win you guys had
it was
for the second game was amazing, and seeing that poor player break his leg was
Ismail
so sad.
Kone. Super sad. But we, and I watch people, give it to me on social media, calling me all kinds of names just because I said I love the anthem, and I just see it like it's binary now. Like I take zero offense to it. I just see these things, and I'm like, I feel sorry for those people, because those are the people that live in stupidity and ignorance. There are probably a couple of bots mixed in there too. I feel sorry for dumb people who willingly stay stupid.
Yeah. I wouldn't disagree with that. I wouldn't disagree with that. Purposely keeping yourself dumb is dumb. It's just it's stupid. I love the idea.
Well, I can't imagine, dude, can you imagine not knowing something and then being frustrated because you don't know it, and people around you are talking about this thing all the time, and you're agreeing with them, and you feel like an idiot inside. Like everybody's been there. When I was a kid, I used to do that. My teen years. Hey, have you heard about this? Oh, I've heard about that. I didn't fucking hear about it. I didn't hear anything. It was and it's that kind of willing ignorance that is the biggest pandemic in North America right now. It is intentional stupidity and false masculinity. False masculinity cosplaying as being alphas. That's what that is. They're just dummies.
Yeah, they're just ignorant and stupid or ignorant. I think they may be interchangeable, Courtney, in this case. Is I think they're willfully ignorant and choosing to be stupid. And I think that's a good way to put them, or what's being done, because you have all the access to all the information and all the world's knowledge and world's history, and you choose to ignore it because it makes you somewhat uncomfortable at times. That's both stupid and willful ignorance. They aren't fully interchangeable, but they do go with each other hand in hand. Okay, Dean, we're just at the top of the hour here. I've got 4 quick questions for you that are
Rapid fire,
actually
go.
from our Intelligent Masculinity series. So these are from Mulan, the I'll Make a Man Out of You theme song. It's the clarion call for action for men. It's the Let's Go Girls for men. And I used to sing this when I was growing up. I was in choir in high school and college, and this was a big song that we sang in the men's choir. And it's always stuck with me because it brings both physical and emotional resonance in some of the lines. And so I've got the 4 chorus lines built out into questions for you. These are rapid fire. There's no right or wrong answer. Don't think too hard on them, but they are kind of challenging.
Don't worry, I won't.
Okay, good.
Okay.
My first question for you. What does it mean to you to be as swift as a coursing river?
Swift as a coursing river? That is a great question. It's also very abstract. Swift
Just
as a
wait for
coursing
the
river.
final question. They get more abstract.
Leopard-like?
Hey, there's no wrong answer. That's a good answer.
Yeah. Swift as a coursing river. Fast. Go. Get it. Urgency. That's what I get out of that. Yeah.
Love it. My next one. How would you embody the force of a great typhoon?
How would I embody the force of a great typhoon? Again, abstract. Now we're getting into atmospheric questions. I got to tell you, I go back to the values and the virtues that I stated earlier that I hold on to: courage, wisdom, temperance, justice. But living it militantly for the people around you, for yourself, embodying those things. Marcus Aurelius once said this: Don't stop talking about what a good man should be. Just be one. I find that that there's a vulnerability in that is a superpower for so many men who embrace their true authentic selves, right? Whether it's whatever it is, and being able to commute that to people through the values that I have, and to do that on this platform, growing it at a scale that you could see it resonate with people. So if I know there's no wrong answer, but that's the best I got.
I love it. I think that's a great answer. This next one is similar, but not the same. And I will preface that, and I will give you a small preface afterwards.
Okay.
How are you as strong as a raging fire? And the preface on this one, or the slight clause on this one, is a raging fire, at least in my opinion, is something that's contained, but burning hot. So that'll give the difference between
read the question one more time.
Yeah. How are you as strong as a raging fire?
Oh, well, depending if the fire is contained, to your point, there's a variable we don't have. This is how I work things through in my head. I think my superpower is I simply do not give a fuck. Like a fire, like a raging fire. It doesn't give a fuck. It'll eat anything in its path. And I say that with all due respect. I don't come from a space anymore where I care about the opinion of others or things that I can't control at all. I only care about what I can control. That's it. It's the only thing I worry about. And I've got this, I travel light emotionally as a result. But I'll tell you something. It's an undeniable way to live. Mark Manson wrote a book called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And if you study, cognitive behavioral therapy, it's, both of these, obviously one comes from Stoic philosophy, logotherapy, and Viktor Frankl. Cognitive behavioral therapy, really the grandfather of it, coming out of the Holocaust, talking about joy. I mean, to not really give a shit, it should be everybody's superpower. But knowing that you live an ethical life and that you are contained, you are disciplined in that capacity. It's my answer.
Love it. I love it. That was a great answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Final rapid fire question. And this is the most esoteric and the hardest of them.
Yeah.
How are you as mysterious as the dark side of the moon?
Oh, I'm not. You can see me coming a mile away. There's no mystery with me. I mean, I'm not as mysterious as the dark side of the moon. There's no mystery with me. I put it on Front Street. I am what I am. I love who I love. I protect who I protect. I give what I give because it means more to me. And it makes me a better person. And you legitimately, if and when you get to know me, anybody gets to know me, you'll say the same thing. I see that guy coming from a mile away. I'm not mysterious, dude. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I love it. Thank you so much for this conversation, Dean.
Thanks, buddy.
And my final question for you, it's the final one for everyone, is how can people support you? How can they find your work, what they're doing, what you're doing, and what can people do to help spread your message? Come meet me at deanblundell.substack.com. We have built this kind of little thing, and with all of my friends like Nick, obviously my friends at the Save America movement, and finding so many valued, like-minded people on this space. And listen, I don't ask for anything. I don't want anything. What I want you to do is go and share real information, and we work really, really hard to source everything that we do to not just kind of calm the situation down, but also explain things to you in a way that needs to be explained to you, to all of us. We live in this space of, information and affirmation kind of not being mutually exclusive. But we affirm better angels over here at deanblundell.substack.com. We really try to make sure that you understand that not just the stakes, but we read between the lines for you. Donald Trump is collapsing. The MAGA regime is collapsing. This is not sustainable. This shall not stand. And that is the vibe that we take. And again, we put those values and those virtues through the spine of everything that we do. So if you want to come to deanblundell.substack.com, I would love to have you join the resistance, my friends. Thanks, man. Thanks, brother. Thanks, everyone, for being here with us. I'll promote myself real quick. Only for this one, I don't normally add my promotion to the end of the Intelligent Masculinity series, but there's something really important going on that I need to promote for everyone. Please scan this QR code. This is an article that myself, Naida Green, and in partnership with Naida Green's Disability Community for Democracy have put together is a call to action to say no to Crip Crow. Stephen Miller, it's come out that Stephen Miller is behind the memo that the DOJ has put out around taking away disability freedoms and rights by undermining the Olmstead decision from 1999, which ended forced institutionalization, segregation, and discrimination against the disability community. I'm asking everyone to participate in this call to action, to call your representatives and your senators, local and federal. Email them, fax them. There are links inside so you can freely fax your representatives if they are onboarded for it. There is the script for phone calls. There is the email template and fax template. Please follow them. Please use this QR code and go support us, because first they came for the folks with disabilities. And if you don't speak out now, we won't be there to speak out for you. So come speak out with us. Dean, thank you so much for being
Thanks,
part
buddy.
of this discussion. Thank you
My
so
pleasure.
much to everyone in the audience for being amazing participants, for asking incredible questions, for being respectful as always in our audience. I know we don't always agree on things in the audience, but I appreciate all of you for your respect and your care for this community and this space that we have been building. Dean, thank you so much again. I look forward to talking with you soon. And everyone, as we always say here, we're done being sick of this shit. So we're doing this shit. Thanks, everyone. Dean,
Thanks, buddy.
have a great day, brother.
You too, pal.